Welcome back to Velsheen Rule. If there is one thing the Trump administration can certainly take credit for, it is appointing a substantial amount of federal judges to the bench. So far, in less than 3 years, President Trump has appointed a total of 152 of them, a number that has surpassed both former presidents Bush and Obama at the same point in their presidencies. And this matters because whether we are talking about the appeals, district, or Supreme Courts, these judges are appointed for life, meaning their decisions will shape the country for decades to come. And now Democratic advocates are trying to bring that issue to the forefront. Joining us now, Washington Post opinion writer Jonathan Capehart and Time Magazine White House correspondent Tessa Berenson. Jonathan, we know these are lifetime appointments. They're crucial for this country, and we know the Republican Party has the Federalist Society aimed and ready to fire, churning out judge picks. What are the Democrats doing to counter this? Because all of us here watched the last 3 debates, and I don't remember hearing much about it from Democrats.
No, but I am old enough to remember that every 4 years, there's always someone within the Democratic Party telling the Democratic Party faithful, please vote for the Democrats because, the Supreme Court, we have to make the Supreme Court the big issue. The court is not an issue within the Democratic Party, at least not until this election. But in the past, you could not rally the Democratic Party faithful over picks to the Supreme Court, picks to appellate courts, picks to district courts, unlike the way it works in the Republican Party. Because within the Republican Party, and certainly in the conservative movement, getting conservative judges on the bench at the high court and in lower courts has been a project for multiple decades.
Okay,
and right
but
now,
Jonathan,
President Trump, they're getting it.
Then why not? Because every single issue we're talking about with this White House ends up in the courts.
Right. Well, that's why I was saying, I think up until this election, the court did not play a big role within the party. But I do think that the candidates and certainly, folks on the Hill would be able to make the argument to the Democratic Party faithful that they have to have the court in mind when they're thinking about voting for people. And certainly, I think once we finally do narrow down the field and can have conversations about, okay, so you want to do something about healthcare, you want to do something about the environment, you want to do something about criminal justice reform, but how are you going to do that when you have a conservative Supreme Court, conservative appellate court, conservative district court? And I think nothing has focused the minds of Democrats like the Trump presidency and the impact of his policies.
Focusing the minds, getting people fired up, is different than watching them do something about it. So, Tessa, what are Democrats doing?
Right. So I'm going to share a statistic that I think is helpful to kind of frame this conversation, which is that exit polls from the 2016 election showed that 1 in 5 voters said the Supreme Court was the most important factor in their decision. And those voters heavily favored Trump over Hillary Clinton, 56% to 41%. So I talked to Brian Fallon, who was Hillary Clinton's press secretary and has now co-founded a progressive advocacy group. And he said his mission, and it's one shared by a lot of people operating in this space, is to never let that happen again, where the Democrats fall so far behind on this issue. Now, in terms of what they're doing, there are a lot of groups like Demand Justice and others that have made it their sole mission, basically, to get the 2020 Democrats to talk about this and move it more to the forefront of the conversation to match Trump's messaging here. So they're sending people out to candidate forums to ask questions about this, get the candidates on the record talking about it, things like that, putting out talking points. And one thing I will note, as Jonathan was saying, traditionally this has not animated the Democratic base in the same way that it has the Republican base. But one thing that multiple advocates on the left told me that they see as kind of a silver lining of the Trump presidency on this issue is that they think more than anything else, Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation fight has really energized the base on the left and galvanized them in a way that they never have been before. And there's some polling to support that. Pew did a poll 6 weeks before the midterms in 2018, and that poll showed that more Democrats than Republicans had courts top of mind when they were going to vote in the midterms, which is obviously a reverse from 2016. So there has been some progress on this on the left.
Hey, MSNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there and click on any of the videos here. To watch the latest interviews and highlights, you can get more MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up now.